Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 3. So, last time we kind of had a slower episode than Episode 1 was, but not in a bad way. It was really furthering the plot and getting us to understand how this is going to go moving forward. Itadori is now a student at Jujutsu Tech, and he is next door neighbors, dorm mates with Fushiguro. So that's fun. Fushiguro, while seemingly liking Itadori, is kind of fulfilling that, typical shonen role where he's kind of rude about things, to put it simply. He's not exactly the most welcoming, most friendly face around. You see these kind of characters in shonen anime a lot. But he's not a bad person, not by any means. If you were to compare this to Bleach, because, it is a spiritual successor in a way to Bleach, I guess the only character I could see of our main group that you could compare him to would be Uryu. Though Uryu also has a lot more going with him in terms of his family and his view on destiny and honor and whatnot. But Uryu, he's a lot colder than Fushiguro is, and for more of a reason, I guess you could say. While Fushiguro is much more like, oh, this is just annoying. He's just annoyed, but he's not like hating on Itadori or anything. So it's a different dynamic for sure, and I'm interested to see how it grows. And then at the very end of the last episode, we also got introduced to our third first year at Jujutsu Tech, Nobara. Although her name wasn't said there, I do know her name. Because she is one of the characters from this who there's been a lot of fan art for. And yeah, she seems very different in personality than I expected from the fan art and the screenshots, the out-of-context screenshots I've seen before. I expected her to be more no-nonsense in terms of her personality, but she seems actually very fun and not quite on the level of like Mina from My Hero Academia, but more towards that. Like, especially with the outro, she seems very silly almost. Like, I think she and Itadori will actually get along really well. But I mean, it's hard to say for sure. We've only seen actually like one small scene with her. I assume we're going to get a lot more in this episode. And the opening shows her using her curse powers, which she seemed to be like shooting out curse energy like bullets. So I'm interested to see how that comes into play. We also met the principal last time, and he makes these dolls that he infuses with his curse energy, calling them cursed corpses. And they're pretty powerful from what we can see. I don't know if there's any like rules on how the dolls are made to how much power they have, or if it's just how much curse power he puts into them at any given time. I don't know what the specifications on that are at the moment, but maybe we'll find out. We also found out that there are 20 total fingers of Ryomen Sukuna, because he apparently had 4 arms. So Jujutsu Tech apparently is in possession of 6, one of which was eaten by Itadori. And then there was also the one that was already at the school. So Jujutsu Tech still supposedly has 5 more in their possession, I guess. So I'm wondering if Itadori is going to be made to swallow them all right away, because in that case he'd already have uh 7. Because I think they said they had 6, yeah, and then the one more that was already at the school. So that should be 7. So unless he was counting the one that Itadori already swallowed as one of the 6, I don't know. But either way, it's like they have a few in their possession. I wonder if they are going to make Itadori just swallow them all, like right off the bat, or if that's going to come into play later. Um, there's other characters in the opening and ending as well that I'm interested in meeting and finding out about. There's a lot that this series is hyping me up for. Not only do you get the vibes of Bleach, but you get straight up horror vibes with it. Um, and some people have even pointed out in some reactions I've watched that there's even vibes of stuff like Demon Slayer and other big name modern shows like that. And it's like, I can kind of see what you're saying with that, weirdly enough. Um, though Demon Slayer admittedly is much better animated. Not that this is poorly animated, it's really extremely well animated. But Demon Slayer's animation is much more fluid and shockingly good. But in terms of, like, I guess character designs and all, which is what the people in the reactions were talking about, um, I can kind of see the idea behind that. Yeah. And some other anime were mentioned as well as being similar. I can't remember exactly which ones were mentioned. The big ones that stood out for me were definitely like that and Bleach, obviously. Um, I can kind of see the idea behind it though. Now, we also have Gojo claiming to be the strongest and claiming that even if Sukuna was back at full power, he could still win. I'm definitely interested to see Gojo actually, like, really in action. We got a little hint of that when he took on Ryoma and Sukuna within Itadori's body in episode 2. Um, but I would love to see Gojo, like, really go all out, or at least more so than we've seen. Um, and so far, I would probably say Gojo is my favorite character. Just personality and character wise, he's the most entertaining and interesting to me. There's a lot of mystery that is within his character, and he's honestly the one I want to know more about and see more of. Like, I love Itadori. Itadori's a great main character so far. Fushigoro's good. I like these other characters, these side characters we've seen, but Gojo just he just commands attention. Like, he gets you very interested in him, and again, I want to see where that goes. But like I said, we've only seen a tiny bit of Nobara so far, so I'm definitely interested to see more of her and see how she stacks up, and then of course all the other characters, because initial thoughts on characters can always change. Just because Gojo is my favorite right now doesn't mean he will remain as such. The rankings could switch on and off very easily. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what we get in this episode. I assume we'll probably start getting into the beginnings of Itadori at the school and, actually doing stuff at the school. Obviously, a bigger introduction of Nobara, because as Gojo said, they're going to go greet her and welcome her in and everything. Yeah, I'm very interested. Another thing, with Nobara's inclusion as one of the main trio, clearly, I have not heard, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous thing, but I don't really think I've heard anything about this series having fan service. You guys by now know my opinions on fan service, but for those of you who might be new, I'm fine with fan service as long as it's not pointless. Like, as long as it's handled well, basically. Pointless fan service for the sake of fan service isn't good. It takes away from the overall media that it's a part of. But when it actually serves something, whether for the characters or for the plot, or even if it just makes sense within the context of the scenario or series or episode or whatever, then that's fine. I'm usually not that harsh on it these days. I used to be a lot more harsh. But I don't think I've heard much of anything about this series, whether or not it has had fan service. So I'm unsure as to what kind of dynamic that's going to bring in, because I feel like this series is kind of within the same realm and time as stuff like Demon Slayer, or well, yeah, probably Demon Slayer too. That wasn't actually what I was thinking. I was thinking Fire Force. Within the same realm and stuff as Fire Force, same time period, because it's kind of the same time I heard about Fire Force. I heard about this. I think they might have both come out in 2019, or did Fire Force come out in 2018? I think they came out around the same time though, and I don't know. For some reason, I've just kind of grouped them in kind of that similar area within modern shonen anime. Like the likes of Black Clover or Demon Slayer, I kind of view in their own category, while Jujutsu Kaisen and Fire Force are kind of in theirs. And Fire Force obviously has quite a bit of fan service, both good and bad fan service. So the fact that I really haven't heard much of anything about it in this series, I'm kind of curious, because I mean, obviously this is inspired by Bleach, and Bleach did have its fair share of fan service at times. Not as much as some other shows, but it did have some. I mean, Orihime alone. Let's be honest. And then other characters like Yoruichi and Rangiku. It's like, of course, Bleach had fan service. So does One Piece. So did Naruto. Naruto didn't have as much either, though. Naruto wasn't super heavy with that. There were certain characters that were a little more fan servicey, but One Piece is definitely the most fan servicey of the big three. When you really think about it, it is. But all three of them have had at least some fan service to them. Anyways, getting off track. Point is, I don't know if this one has any, and I don't know if it does, if it's going to be good or bad. We'll have to see. Because I have seen some people drawing some of the characters, some of the female characters from this show in some pretty sexy outfits and stuff. I've seen people draw Bunny Girl Nobara, for example. And I'm just like wondering if that's just fan artists being fan artists, or if there's actually something in the series to like lead into that idea. The opening and the ending don't tell you anything in that regard, so maybe there won't be. I don't know. We'll see. But I am excited to see this nonetheless. And so we're just going to get into this, hope for the best, and see what episode 3 has in store. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, first off, there was something after the credits. I found that out after I had already turned it off, but there was this little, like, short comedic bit at the end about them deciding where to go to eat, and basically, I guess they ended up choosing this revolving sushi place that has the sushi delivered, like, with, I guess, these little, like, bullet train cars, which is a cute idea. But yeah, it was mostly just them arguing over where to go, mostly Yuji and Nobara. But yeah, I don't know if every episode is going to have those from here on out, or if that's just going to be an occasional thing, but we'll see, I guess. I don't want to end up seeing like the spoilers for the next episode, you know. Either way, let's talk about this. So, episode 3 is definitely about introducing us to Nobara. And once again, she's not what I expected. It's like I'd say it pulled the wool over my eyes twice now, but I guess it's more like once technically, because the first thing I thought was entirely based on basically fan art. Basically fan art and screenshots I saw. It made me think again she was going to be this serious, no nonsense type of character. Then when we got to episode 2, when she was introduced at the very end, my thought was like, oh no, she actually seems kind of cutesy and fun, and she might have a little more goofiness to her personality, might get along with Itadori in that way. And then we see this episode which truly introduces her character and shows what she's like, and it's like, oh no, she's just insane. And it's like, that throws me off so much, because it's like, even if her personality was different from what I had come to think from the last episode, I would not have expected her to be just blatantly crazy. Like, I know that that was kind of a thing that they said with like talking like, oh, you have to kind of be a bit crazy to be a jujutsu sorcerer and everything, that I think the principal said at last episode. But it's like, this was not at all what I was thinking. It's just like, oh no, she's actually crazy. First off, her mood and kind of personality seems to switch almost on a dime. Sometimes she can be very aggressive and judgmental and just very, like, outwardly and actively rude. But then there's other times where she gets really goofy and silly and just a total Dorcas. And I mean that in the best way, mind you. And then when she gets serious and stuff, you see, like, kind of her more, you see her heart and her morals. Also the fact that she seems to struggle with, like, doing what's right versus doing what's logical. It's like I feel there's a lot to her character that's going to be able to be explored. Even the backstory, finding out about her friends, Sayori, I think it was, something like that, who was like a big sister figure to her and then ended up basically getting bullied into moving back to the city. I really want to get like some kind of follow-up to that. Even if she ended up having died or been killed by a curse or something, I want to know about that, because I feel like that was the most genuine and true Nobara was being. I feel with the entire stuff about her friend and everything being bullied out of the country and it causing her to feel immense anger towards living in a village and wanting to go to the big city and everything, that is the most honestly genuine we get from her character in this episode. And I feel like it's the closest look to how she truly is. Not that her goofy side or even her ridiculously crazy, grumpy side aren't aspects of her real personality, but rather that I think she's almost maybe putting on a little bit of an act. Like, she's actively exaggerating her feelings in order to maybe hide her true emotions about things. She doesn't seem to want to be open, is what I'm saying. And I've known people like this, and to a degree, I've been a person like this. Not in the same way, but there's very much been plenty of times in my life where I've pretended to be someone or something I'm not, whether in personality or the way I talk to people or whatnot, or the things. I've just openly lied about a lot of stuff about myself and about a lot of things to try and basically get people's respect or to connect with them and befriend them. I would pretend to be someone I wasn't, just for attention. And so I never did it in the same way that she seems to be doing, but I can definitely see that kind of idea there. Especially since she is normally this country girl and now she's in the big city, she might also be putting on this act to try and maybe fit in with people from the city a little bit, to try and maybe she feels like she has to be this way because she has to guard who she really is, because she's afraid of like how people will treat her because of how her friend was treated by the people in her village. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting from this. And again, I don't think that this is necessarily fake. I don't think that she's completely lying when she acts like this. It's just exaggeration. But maybe it'll explore that a little more. But this episode mostly centers around getting to know her as a character and seeing how she interacts with mostly Itadori. And we get to see this through a trial run. Gojo takes the group to this haunted, abandoned building, and he has Itadori and Nobara go in on their own to take care of the curse and or curses within it. Fushiguro is insanely jealous because he wants to have some action too. But he listens to Gojo and stays outside. And so the two of them end up splitting up. Nobara goes to the top of the building, Itadori goes to the bottom after having a little bit of a spat with each other. And Nobara ends up confronting and taking out a curse that seemed to either be disguising itself as a mannequin or inhabiting one. It wasn't entirely clear. She then notices a young boy just completely scared out of his mind behind some boxes, and that's when a second curse comes out and starts using the boy as a hostage. It's explained basically through exposition that the curses in the cities tend to be stronger because curses gain strength with the population around them. So the curses in Tokyo are going to be a lot stronger and a lot more threatening than the curses that Nobara would be used to in the countryside. As such, we see this curse, though it's not necessarily super strong, it's smart, which is very unusual for what she's used to. It's smart and is able to make concentrated, intelligent decisions, such as using the boy as a hostage under threat of death. And this is where the part where I mentioned, like, she struggles between the ideas of what's right and what is, like, logical. Because she says, she's, like, going through it in her mind, and she's saying, like, oh, the logical thing to do would be to at least have one of us get out of here alive. And it would be best if it were me, for logical reasons. So as long as I can get out and take out this curse, that would be the most logical option. But then we get to see, like, pretty much right away, she drops all of her gear, puts her hands up, it's like, I'm unarmed, let him go. She chooses morality and ethics above logic. And through hearing her backstory and everything, it kind of makes sense. She's an emotional person, as we can see, not a logical person. Fushiguro is more of the logical member of the group. Though he definitely has shown that he thinks emotionally as well, as shown in episode 2 when he tells Gojo that it's his personal feelings saying that he doesn't want Itadori to die. So, yeah, there's that. But so we see that she chooses to act on her morals rather than her logic, despite having those thoughts. And I think that's a good thing, because people sometimes do just have thoughts like that, like thinking like, oh, logically speaking, this would be the best option, right? And it's a natural thing to think, but it depends on what you do with those thoughts and how you act upon them. And her choice in the end was the right one, choosing to try and do what she could to make sure this boy survived. Unfortunately, the curse was willing to kill the boy anyways, like, wasn't just going to let him go because she dropped her gear. And that's when Yuji broke through the wall. Itadori just comes bursting through the wall out of nowhere, cuts through the curse's fingers and hand, and saves the boy, allowing Nobara to finish him off after the curse tries to jump out the window and shit. Basically. She finishes off using this straw man voodoo kind of curse ability, which is really interesting. She has these nails and this hammer that she uses, which again, from the opening, like, she has like her hand out like a gun like that, and it's like that's what I'm thinking like she's gonna do with her curse power, but no, she uses a hammer and nails apparently. But maybe she could do multiple things. It's possible, I guess. I don't know. We'll see as the series progresses. But either way, I like the way she handles things. I like that she seems to have like this voodoo doll thing as well. It's a really neat idea. And yeah, although she's absolutely insane, I kind of enjoy her. I kind of enjoy that she's just completely bonkers. You don't see it that often. Like, you see characters in anime, like male characters who are often crazy, and a lot of times even those will be bad guys, or at least more of a neutral party. You don't often see a main hero being absolutely insane like this. The only example I can think of off the top of my head is Maka Albarn in Soul Eater. And that was only because she was infected with the black blood at that time. And that was a temporary thing, like one episode. So that doesn't really count. And here you just have Nobara, who's just like, she's one of the main trio of first years for Jujutsu Tech. She is one of our main trio. And as she openly puts it, the girl of the group. I can't believe she actually described herself that way. That's kind of funny. Because usually when people talk about like the girl of the group in anime, like you have like Sakura with Naruto and Sasuke in Naruto, obviously. And for a good time, Nami was the only girl in the Straw Hats in One Piece. Well, usually when people talk about that, they're talking about like, oh, you have this token girl. You have this group of mostly or all guys, and then you have this token girl. And instead she comes in and it's like, yeah, I'm the girl of the group. Fear me. And it's like, she's owning that. She's owning that position. And she's like, I'm the girl of the group. I'm going to make it badass. And it's like, okay. But then she ends up also being completely insane. And it's like, you're interesting. You're just fun. You're a fun character. Your mood seems to switch on the drop of a dime. And it's like, I'm kind of into that. I can kind of get into that. Just having a leading female character be crazy like that. It's new, at least to me. I don't think I can really name other leading female characters from anime, or just leading male characters even, not including like Light Yagami, who's crazy in a different way, but also he was also the villain, so it's a different dynamic in general. But yeah, I don't think I name any others. I mean, there probably are other characters like that. I have not seen those series, I guess. If you can tell me down in the comments if you know of any characters like that, please do. And if you can even like think of something that I would know, like, that would be awesome. Because I can't think of anything besides Maka Albarn. And again, that's like a single character for a single episode. it's not a recurring thing, and it's not just her normal personality. So yeah, I'm genuinely I'm genuinely enjoying this series continuously more and more, and Nobara's personality is going to work interestingly off the others, especially Itadori, who at times she seems to be able to kind of connect with. Like they're very similar at times, but then at other times they can kind of like get on each other's nerves and go at each other a bit, and it's like, this is an interesting dynamic. um but yeah, I definitely want to know more about this Saori girl and their connection, and if that's going to come back. I really hope it does. Um, but tell me in the comments below, what did you think of episode 3 of Jujutsu Kaisen? And before anyone says it, I do know that episodes 4 and 5 are a two-parter. The little, I guess, preview we got at the end of this episode leading into what is going to happen with the womb, as they call it. It's like, by the way, that is so fucking gross. I guess that's going to lead into our first big two-parter. Um, I don't know what the episodes are about. I just know it's a two-parter. So we probably will react to 4 and 5 together. I can't promise that, but we probably will. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on this episode down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.